Unmasking the Blueprint is a unique visual podcast that will begin each show with a blueprint shuffle. Yep, you heard me correctly. We will be shuffling. Grab a pen and a paper because the nuggets will be dropped for you to use and grow. We will interview business owners and music artists, and you'll be able to meet the person behind the brand. Each show will have a giveaway, so stay tuned to win. Hey guys, welcome to the show. Happy Tuesday. As usual, you know I already have some guests on, that's going to give y'all the tea, give you the business. Hey, Simply Free, I'm glad to have you. So we have the amazing Anthony Mitchell. Let me see if he is available. Hey, Anthony, how are you?
Hello, how are you? Thank you for the opportunity.
I've read your bio. It is so amazing. Guys, he has truly overcome and he's doing amazing things. But one thing I don't like to do, I don't like to miss anything. And so I'm going to let him give you a little bit about himself before I go into the questions. Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. My name is Anthony Mitchell, as you know, and I was born with a rare genetic condition that left me without any sweat glands. So I had to endure a lot growing up in Southeast Texas, and from grade school to college and to living on my own. I was born with 3 other siblings. I'm the only one that was born with the condition. So with my life and all the things I've been blessed to overcome, it's a blessing. And I want to be able to hopefully inspire someone.
Wow. Y'all heard he say he's ready to inspire. Guys, I'm telling y'all, sometimes we run into bumps. We be like, I can't do it. So tell us what you have, okay, so that the audience can understand the impact, okay, of what's going on.
Okay, sure.
Okay, what is the name of your condition?
Sure, it's abbreviated name is HED. It's called Hypohidrotic Ectodermal Dysplasia, which is the medical term, which is a condition that left me without any sweat glands. It's a genetic condition. Of course, it's not contagious. You're born with it. And I was the only one of my 3 other siblings to be born with this condition. And of course, my parents didn't know anything about it, so they had to just kind of make me comfortable as much as they could. They weren't able to know what was going on when I was young, when I was small, less than a few months old. They were just making me comfortable. They just happened to notice that I would cry when it was warm. So they eventually took me to the doctor to be able to get diagnosed. And that's when they, of course, was able to recognize that I had the condition. It has various symptoms. Of course, I don't have any pores, which allows your body to sweat. So just imagine not allowing your body, not giving your body that cooling system, not having that cooling system that as most people have. My body just locks in that heat. So I have to either manually cool myself or remove myself into a cooler environment where I can, sustain. Because imagine a small child not knowing anything about that or what's going on. I would go out multiple times and before I would get too hot, before I eventually began to realize that my parents would watch me and knew that when I had to come in. But I did everything from wear a wet towel around my neck to, just go out in the later evenings of the day, or if it was in the hotter parts of the day, I would, public pools or, run through the sprinklers in the front yard like maybe some kids did. But it was very, very challenging. But of course, as a child, I was blessed to be able to enjoy more than maybe expected, once I was able to recognize and my parents were able to recognize what's going on. So, I mean, it is very few individuals in the world that has the condition in the U.S. I know, but there are variations of it. Some people sweat from the neck down. Some can't sweat from the neck down, from the neck up, and different parts of their bodies from what I've read and heard about. But I never knew anyone growing up. So I found this out as I got older. Yeah, as I got older and started researching. But Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, that gives a snip of it, but I don't want to ruin it. My book, of course, goes into a lot more detail, which is titled No Sweat, and I self published it on my own.
Oh,
You know,
wow. Before
yes.
we get into your book,
Hmm.
so for any parents, so could you tell us like how did your parents know? Like what was the symptoms? What was the signs that made them go something is wrong? That could probably help out some other parents.
Yes. Well, one of the things, of course, they know my body temperature was very warm. Maybe when they least expect it, it may have been cooler to people because you can sweat. But as a child, they just happened to notice I was crying, of course, and then they would notice the body temperature was very warm, and of course,
Mm,
taking my temp, and it definitely alarmed them. But keep in mind, it wasn't something immediate because that they noticed it because
right,
being a small child, of course, they kept me, I'm sure, in cooler environments in the house and everything. I
right,
know. And then, of course, those moments where it may have been a little warm, maybe out visiting family or out on a trip or whatever. And those were the times that it became to be more noticeable. And they did come down to it being too hot and, not sweating. Small
uh,
child don't sweat too much anyway. But yeah,
right.
it's a big
Do you know
sign.
what age that was? What age you were?
I was within a few months,
Oh,
and I say
wow.
months because go out a lot when I was younger. It was a few months when I was actually able to go out. Maybe took me around to visit family and things like that. So I say a few months, less than 6 months before they really became very alarmed.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
just going back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So where are you at in the siblings? Are you first, last, the middle?
I'm next to the youngest. I have an older sister and an older brother, and
Okay.
I have a younger brother.
Okay. Just
Yes.
asking so parents can know that it,
Mm-hmm.
it could be any of the siblings. So that's okay. I just want to get clarification. So
Right.
he has a disorder. We don't call it HED, which is very rare. And he wrote a book about it. And guys, what do I always tell y'all? Whatever you go through in life, your story can help somebody else. And so I love that Anthony took his story and put it into a book because I didn't know what no sweat mean until like just now. Like literally
Right.
no sweat. Okay. So basically what he's saying is that he was born with it. Of course, not even the doctors knew he had it. And after several months, it was acknowledged that he had it. So thank you for the information because parents like, well, my child not born with it. Okay, so you don't even know at birth. So thank you for that. My
Mm-hmm.
second thing is you kind of talked about symptoms. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you want to go into any more symptoms, and if you don't, that's fine. I can go to the next question.
Well, I can the biggest, most
I mean,
visible,
I mean conditions. I'm sorry.
right?
Yeah,
Shit,
same thing.
that's fine. Well, the most visible one, as I mentioned, no sweat glands, and that's an invisible condition. The
Right.
no sweat glands, because you couldn't walk up on me and know that, of course.
Right.
But from the doctor's symptoms, there would be some learning disabilities, and I kind of felt as I got older that a lot of individual children grew up with uh, learning disability, a learning disability, I guess, if you want to call it that, as far as the retaining information. That was one of the biggest things I noticed early on. It was retaining information. And when
Mm,
I look back at how harder I had to study and how harder I had to learn something from grade school to actually growing
wow.
up and as an adult, it wasn't something that I pick up different things like that. It was over time and repetition, and I feel like I've maybe been able to overcome a lot of the learning part of it. But that was the biggest thing: the no sweat and the learning. The doctor said it would be some learning disabilities when your child gets older, and of course, I noticed that as I started to grow older,
Okay.
and the pores, and that would be something kind of invisible because if you have hair follicles, I had hair, but as I got older, I eventually cut my hair off. But I had believe it or not, before mohawks were even around, I had hair that would grow pretty much from just like a mohawk. I had no sideburns, no, of course, no facial hair or anything like that until I got
Wow.
much older. I started getting, beard, mustache and things like that. But no hair grew on the sides of my head. So I had a born mohawk,
A born
as you can
mohawk.
say. Yeah.
Wow.
Before it was even actually the
Trendsetter.
thing. Yeah, I'm serious. And it was,
Trendsetter.
yep,
Yes,
sure did.
Free, very interesting. And
Mm,
that's the reason why I wanted to talk about it on the show, because a lot of times y'all, we know we're born with something, or we have something. He even said he have a learning disability as he get older, right?
mm,
And so but we take these abilities and we like, oh, and we shadow them, or we try to, not talk about them. And I love when people are bold enough to use their weakness as their superpower, because I like to call it giving people an umbrella while they're going through the storm.
mm.
Because see, you went through the storm and you're like, okay, I'm kind of getting it. And when you're able to help people while they're going through the storm, it's like you're giving them an umbrella, let them know it's okay. I got through it. You're gonna get through it. And so I just love people when they do that. And so I just feel like you're a superhero for embracing what happened to you and telling it to the world, because you're gonna help somebody. And so I definitely appreciate you. Not as an adult, how do you keep yourself cool? Oh, that's a good question, Free. That is a good question.
As an adult, hey, I'm able to manage it better because I know how long I can stay out in the heat or
Oh,
what's too
okay.
much for me. I know that, but it doesn't mean that I go out into say 100-degree weather and I just stay out there an unlimited amount of time. I just know that I'll be out here for a little bit, but I'm not going to be out here too long. But I'm glad you mentioned that because one of the things that I feel like God blessed me with, we've always know that God blesses us with gifts.
Yes.
And I coined this phrase that I really like to stand by, and I hope that it inspires someone. I like to approach my goals and dreams as if they were no sweat, more than a
Ah,
phrase. As
I
I
like
live
it.
my life living without sweat glands. Yes,
I'm sorry I cut you off, 'cause I thought that was the end of it. Say it again.
I was I li- excuse me. I approach my goals and dreams as if they were no sweat, as I live my life living without sweat glands.
Boom! Did y'all hear that? I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
So
and
that is so good. That's so inspiring. It's so great. I love it. Free said, love
thank
it.
you.
Yes, Free, it's so good. You're helping us with it. Really is helping us with this information. And it's just
Appreciate
showing people that no matter what you have going on in your life, take it and turn it for the good. Because I feel like, you know what? God knew you were strong enough to endure it, you know? And I be like, y'all think that's the weak people, but they be the strong people. We be overcoming stuff. I love it. Okay, so was you able to excel in school? Did you get into any activities? Like, how did that affect your schooling?
Well, to be honest with you, I really, being a little different kid, and I'm sure a lot of kids probably relate to it. Those who are adults now may, I'm sure, can relate to that. But being a different kid in school, always off to myself in a cool area,
Mm,
playground, playtime. In a cool environment somewhere under a tree or maybe inside the building. So I was kind of apart from that. But eventually, my athletic ability, which was kind of recognized from one of my PE teachers, and eventually began to get more recognized as I began to get in higher grades. But my athletic ability, I feel like, really kind of brought me out of my shell and gave me the opportunity to really expand on some of my other gifts that God blessed me with. So, but as far as learning, it was repetition. It was everything that we had to do when it comes to learning. I had to do it more than once, and I felt like that was something that I carried on throughout my life, of course, too. But still was a challenge. Still was struggled as some of us do. But man, I look back and I thank God because it was a blessing to get through it.
right.
Graduated a little later out of high school, but I eventually one of the first in my
But
family to go to
but you
college.
did it.
He graduated. Yep, yep. So, yep, we
I
were
love
blessed to
that. I
get
love
there.
it.
And so for those who didn't hear, I like to go back on some things. He said he graduated late, but he did it. And I want to make sure that I want to repeat that because a lot of people are like, I didn't graduate, or I graduated late, or
Mhm.
I want you to see this man was born with a disability. Was different in school, was unable to do what everybody else. He can't just run out there with the kids in the heat. He had to be what? Oh, you got to stay inside in the cool air. You know how kids is, right? And
Oh,
so
oh, yeah.
all these things he went through, guys. And I don't even think you even hold up. I just realized something. Hold on, Free Little. Can you see Free Little comments over here?
No,
I
I
don't know if
can't
you can see
see.
it. Oh, you can't see
No.
her. So let
Uh,
me. You should be able to. I don't know why, but that's okay. Let me tell you. I just realized he did not tell us anything about the things that he have done. He is not his disease. He is not his disorder. Okay? He may have been born with it, but that is not who Anthony Mitchell is. So before I ask my next question, I'm gonna revert back because I just realized that somehow you never said that part. And so, yes, y'all heard about his disorder. Yes, you heard about what he was born with. Yes, you heard about the disability of learning and retaining. But let me drum roll. What have you done? What have you done? That's what we need to hear about. What have you done real quick? Let's drop that
uh,
down.
well, first of all, I was born and raised in church, brought up in church. I knew that keeping God first was always something that I began to realize that, yeah, building a closer relationship with God. And of course, it got me through so much. But with that being said, I being in the house a lot growing up, I began to learn how to write poetry. So I'm a poet. I've been writing poetry since about 11 years old. So poetry, spoken word, definitely that's one of the gifts God
And
blessed
you
me
wrote a
with.
book?
And I did write a book about my life, living without sweat glands. That was my first book. And then making the transition into entrepreneurship, I titled the second book, No Sweat.
Mm.
And I'm in the midst of my inspirational poetry book called Faith Filled Thoughts of Inspiration. Okay, with that, uh, always loving music and everything, and writing, went from poetry to writing songs. So, songwriter, music publishing company, I was able to start. But way back, I promoted and managed a lot of local artists from Seattle, Washington, where I went to college, and all the way from Florida to Vegas. So I did a lot of that, the management side, and blessed to be able to get trained in screenwriting. So my story is coming. I want to bring it to as many as I can. So screenwriting is a blessing that I've been fortunate to learn from the
Guys,
John. Yep.
he took screenwriting because he's about to write a screenplay. He already wrote one poetry book. He's in the process of writing a second one. He wrote one book and in the process of writing another one. And so I wanted to highlight those things because we were so busy talking about his disease. He's not his disease. Okay. But we talking about it so people can understand it. But then I want you to see the triumph of it. And I want to go back for a second. Free said, did the other kids know you had a challenge with overheating when you was in
Okay.
school?
Oh, I can see the comments now.
Okay.
No, they knew that something wasn't right, something was different, whatever. But I believe, and it wasn't that I would know a lot of the maybe thoughts going through the head, or maybe some of the outside
Okay. So you
chatter.
never
But
told them.
no,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
no. I think when I eventually, it probably sprinkled through the neighborhood, small town growing up. Eventually,
Okay.
some would know. But I was amazed to find out as I got older, some didn't know until I started
Oh.
playing sports and excelling. And when maybe a lot was out running, I was doing a lot of that until I got too hot and I would be sitting somewhere cool. But yeah, it eventually began to show as I got older. I would say junior high on up. It
Okay.
wasn't long before more would know, but smaller than that, no.
So the answer to her question is it's probably like pretty sure high school. That's when people start really knowing, right?
Really knowing, yeah, I would say high
Okay.
school.
Got you. Got you. Okay, how are you able to help others through their conditions and disadvantages in pursuing their dreams and goals?
That's a good question. I'm glad you asked that because being blessed and fortunate to get through some of the things with the condition that I have and being able to overcome, blessed to overcome from grade school to living college and then living my adult life and then some of the blessings and achievements I've been able to do, there were things that I felt like I had to do. And one of the things, first thing was I was always keeping God first.
That's
Regardless of
good.
what I was going through, I always was taught to pray. So that most importantly, and then just continuing to keep going,
Oh, that's good.
whether you're laughed at, whether you're, told that you're not good enough or your knowledge or your education is not good enough, you don't have the skills or whatever, just keep going. And that power of persistence is what I like to say. The
Right?
power of persistence is more powerful than you can imagine. And just keep going.
That's good. That's good. That's what people that's gonna get these nuggets and be like, yes, I needed that. Okay, so you're giving away a book, correct?
Yes.
So I'm gonna tie it
Ebook.
in with my last question with how people can
Okay.
find you. Because in order for you to give the book away, they need to do something. So they need to follow you on your platforms. So tell us how can they do that?
Sure. You can follow me on my platform, Instagram, Time to Shine 36. And that's my Time to Shine 68. I apologize. And you can find me there. My Facebook, Anthony Mitchell Author. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Anthony Mitchell. And also Twitter, Anthony Mitchell on my Twitter account as well. And Snapchat, Anthony Mitchell. So those are the
He's gonna
platforms
come
that you
back
can
and
reach me
drop
on.
these links for y'all guys.
Yes,
So
I'll drop the
he'll come and
link for
drop the
the
links.
definitely. And you can email me Anthony Mitchell Speaks plural 52 at gmail.com.
Okay. So they need to go. So which two platforms do they need to go like, subscribe, and say they saw you on this show in order to win?
My Instagram and Facebook, most
So
definitely. And
Instagram and Facebook, you have to like it. You have to and comment underneath the one of them and says, I seen you on I'm asking the blueprint. And then
mm,
he's gonna do a Harlem shuffle on Friday and pick the winner. Okay. So you have to do it between now and Friday. And then he's gonna pick the winner. One winner. Is it one winner, right?
yes, one.
One winner. And then once you win, we're gonna announce it on the show. I'm gonna announce it next week. Well, not announce it. I'm just gonna post it on I'm asking the blueprint page. So you have to go to his Instagram and Facebook and put I saw you on I'm asking the blueprint, and then that's how you're going to be entered in to win. That sounds good to you, Anthony?
Yes, that sounds good. Perfect. That'll
Sounds
work.
great.
That'll work.
Um, so my last question was, how can people invite you to speak? Well, I'm gonna do it. I'm going to ask a question because even though we
Mm,
told them where to find you, it might be a separate answer. So,
mm.
how can people invite you to speak at events?
Yeah, they can definitely reach out to me. Email me, Anthony Mitchell Speaks 52 at gmail.com.
Oh,
And they'll definitely be able to catch me there.
okay, that sounds like a plan.
Mm,
So, if you want him, if you need him for a speaking engagement, we prefer his email, and he's gonna drop that below as well.
mm.
Instagram, he's gonna drop all his platforms underneath as well. But in order to win, y'all know y'all want to read No Sweat. Because I was like, what is that? Okay. I'm like, what we no sweat? What we no sweating about? And so it's great to know where the topic came from. So super amazing. Thank you for being on the show. But I definitely want you to give the audience, I know you did a great job of giving us some nuggets, but if you can give us 3 to 4, 5 nuggets before we leave out, I would greatly appreciate it.
Sure. Keep God first.
Good.
Network.
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely pray. I mean, keep God first is same as praying, of course. Networking and never give up. Regardless of what you're going through, never give up. If that's what you want to do, I think those three things right there.
You're like,
Keep
that's
God first, never
drop
give
the
up,
mic right
and
there.
network. There you
Like
go.
what you put God first is like, boom, I'm done. Like that's drop mic. Like put God first. Yeah. But networking is really good, guys.
Mm.
You don't know what you don't know. So you gotta get in a room with people who know. Right? And if
There
you're in a
you
room
go.
with people and to me, if you're in a room with people and you know everything that they're talking about, then you're in the wrong room.
There
You need
you
to
go.
be in a room where people where you going, what? What? Taking notes.
Expand your mind. Expand your mind.
Exactly.
Believe
Free
me.
Little is one of the she has her own show as well. And when we
Oh,
get
really?
together, our minds just be like, yeah, okay. So get with people who know more than you, who know different stuff than you. And so, right, Anthony, that was a good one. And he said, pray. You can't, I ain't never been able to go wrong with that one. Just
Oh,
give it to him, okay? I love it. I love it. We're about to dance out. Did we miss anything before we go?
no, I can't think of anything else.
You have anything going on that you want to announce? Anything?
Well, I'm releasing my inspirational poetry book. It'll be soon. I
Okay.
haven't picked launch date hasn't been designated yet, but look
But
out
if
for
you
my.
follow him, you will see it.
There you go.
All right, what else?
There you go. And I'm always submitting speaking engagements, and they know how to email me if you'd like for me to come and speak. By all means, just let me know, and we'll go from there. Always willing to have opportunity to be able to spread my message and hopefully inspire someone, encourage them. I'm open for that. Got to give your
Absolutely.
testimony.
Because I've never heard of it. And the
Mm,
point that you can bring your beautiful baby home, hold your baby, love your baby for several months and not even know that they have a disorder, like that's
right.
crazy. So my question is, to this day, are babies still born and they still don't know until later?
Believe it or not, I ran into some Facebook groups that were there were mothers that were asking questions, and it was mind boggling because these are questions that they're asking that I had to go through as a child. My parents didn't know until they were able to find out, and because there wasn't a lot of information out there back then. You're talking about over 50 years ago,
Right.
so it wasn't a lot of information than it is now. So they're still asking questions because there's a lot of rare conditions, diseases out there. So so much research is going to be done on a certain amount of them. So, so their parents that are still not able to get the questions answered. And it was like I was able to give some information to a few families, mothers, fathers, and families about some of the things that they can expect that I knew from, personally. So that was fulfilling for me because, again, I knew nobody that had it. And it was like, being basically an alien growing up when
Right.
dealing with something that nobody knows about, not
And
even
even your
our general
parents,
physician. Yeah, there you
right?
go.
Your parents like, what we supposed to do? Like, we don't even know
Yep.
anybody.
They knew just to
Right.
keep me cool. Of course, it took a while because before I would get too high, before they knew that that's something we don't need to have them get there. But yeah, that was the only place that I noticed it, and that was fulfilling for me to be able to answer a few questions.
And so I'm pretty sure they appreciate that because I mean that's good. I'm gonna thank you for them. So we're about to dance out, guys. That was so amazing. If you know anybody who just needs to be uplifted, if you know somebody who's going through something, you just be like, let me let you watch this podcast because he was born with it, been through it, and he's overcame, and he's using his should be his weakness as his superpower to the world. So I'm just letting y'all know whatever your weakness is, that's actually your superpower. So go out and be great. So we're about to
There you
dance
go.
out.
Thank you for tuning in today. It would mean the world to me if you will leave a review, a rating, and subscribe to my show. Please share with your family and friends if you enjoyed the show. This show, I'm Asking the Blueprint, is for you. So send me a message with the topics you want us to discuss. Until next time, y'all stay safe.
Stay safe, guys.